So our next speaker for the day is Mamata S, Managing Director, Accenture Operations. Welcome, Mamata. I hope we will be able to cover the presentation in 20 minutes and have a Q&A for 10 minutes. Yeah, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. So, team, thank you for giving this opportunity. I wanted to start with, what we call it as the reality, right? And I think most of us would have seen this old TV frames in our lives, right? And where I come in from, when I started my career, it was in 1998. And I remember seeing women on the TV, and I'm sure all of you have seen Doordarshan. All of you have seen the news which used to come at Doordarshan, where there are three beautiful women who will come and share what's happening in the world. And that used to be my inspiration of saying, if these women can be here to change the way we see the world, they make us aware of what's happening in the world, I can be one of those. And when I was looking through Zoom, and this is one of my favorite, background. So just wanted to share that story with all of you. And as a person, one of the managing directors working in the healthcare space as a customer experience lead, based out of Chennai, very, very passionate about, what I do. Because when I was thinking about the change, I was thinking about an organization which provides me an opportunity to grow. And it had to be an organization which was bigger than what I was working in the past. It had to have women at the center of it. And when I say women at the center of it, what I mean really is that a lot of the companies talk about diversity. A lot of the companies talk about, we mean growth, we mean development for women, but how many of them put them in action? And Accenture was on my top list for the culture that exists, for the enablement of the women that they have in their setup. And with that, I was like, if this is the company, if this is the place that I want to be, then Accenture happened about 18 months ago. I was in Australia before that and moved to India after almost a decade to be with Accenture. I think today's session, I've been given about 20 minutes. What I would probably focus on in the first 10, 15 minutes would really be around how Accenture in India is focusing on enabling change. Then I would talk about a few things around the programs that we run in our setup, and then how inclusion and diversity is the core value for us. And I'm happy to take any questions, through the slides as well, but I think we've got about 10 minutes at the end. So I'll very quickly move into, our commitment to equality. And a lot of people talk about equality, inclusion, and that's what I said, right? For me, it was an organization who needs to really show me in action. And what you see on the slide is the action. Our board of directors is a very, very diverse group. And it's not only diverse from gender, but it has an equal geographic representation. It has various ethnicity. You look at people from various backgrounds. Our CEO, Julie Sweet, a great testimony of how talent is recognized. Rekha Menon, who is our chairman and senior managing director in India. Shailaja, who's our R&D sponsor. So if you really see from an organization perspective, it's a top-down approach for Accenture to have women in the power, women driving decisions. And it is not a hearsay, it is something that truly believe in. Very quickly, and I think I was listening into the previous session, right? And I think it's very powerful again about how all of us are thinking about talent, how all of us are evolving on our needs of talent. So when we started our vision in 2020, our vision really was we would like to have attracting the best talent. However, very quickly we realized that attracting a best talent is one aspect of it, but I think we want to be known as worthy of the best talent. And how do you really become worthy of the best talent, right? And I think that's what our ambition is. We've been evolving, excuse me, with time, looking at ensuring our policies, our system, our culture is so engaging that the best talent is actually looking forward to come and working with us. One of the most important factor for the magnitude of the company we are is the scale, right? And I don't know, I'm sure most of you know, we kind of about 200,000 people in India. And that is one of our strength and hence one of our biggest challenges as well. When you think about a new setup coming in, when you think about a new startup coming in, it's a lot easier to evolve the policy. It's a lot easier to build the right diverse talent. But how do we really think about when you have a magnitude of, quarter of a million people working, how do we focus or build the framework which creates the ecosystem for us? And the ecosystem is not just internal to Accenture, but the external, including various leadership sponsors that we've got. We work with champions. We worked with various business entities. We work with a lot of Marcom, legal, the talent acquisition teams, etc. And our focus really has been, let's look at creating culture, creating holistic framework, which makes us worthy of the best talent which is available in the market. And how do we really do that? And I'm sure you guys can see my screen on the right-hand side, reflecting on our framework. I'll spend a couple of minutes and happy to take any thoughts or questions the team may have. But the biggest in the center for us is our people. And the pillars for our approach really is bold leadership. And when I say bold leadership, it's not really about making a statement. It is really about setting up the goal and holding people accountable, having the right metrics, focusing on that progress. And that takes us to the next pillar, which is nothing but a comprehensive action that we're going to take. When you build bold leaders, you need to focus on retaining them. You need to focus on developing them. You really need to think about how do you advance their careers? How do you advance their personal lives ahead? And that really happens through the empowering environment, right? Wherein you build a bias-free environment for people to thrive, where you build role models people can look up to, right? They want to be the role model and they look up to the role models. And last but not the least, very important, which is our client and partners. How do you actually build an environment where everybody is very, very comfortable engaging with clients, engaging with multiple partners in the system? How do you make sure that not only Accenture as an organization, but all the clients and the partners that we work with, and we work with Fortune 500, how do we make sure that they are also being a part of our setup, right? How are they enabling our pillars so that the best talent can actually come and experience Accenture and provide that services to them as well? All of this is not possible without having the right enablement, right? And the enablement, when I say, it's really about how do you communicate? How do you communicate with your employees? How do you communicate with the women leaders? How do you communicate with the leadership? How do you communicate with your clients? Change management, very, very important factor. While all of us talk about diversity, a lot of us talk about inclusion, but how do you really drive through top down? How does this change really becomes an engaging environment around everybody? And then how do we make sure that while we're focusing on pillars, while we're focusing on getting the right talent in, we are having right measurable information that drives the right insight for us? So how do you leverage data to make changes in the way you're operating? And I think above that comes your external connections, external organization, the governments, the suppliers. How do you really get everybody engaged in enabling the environment where we have our peoples thriving? Um, One of the bit that I want to kind of talk about, I think we spoke about diversity, but I think at Accenture, we are very, very committed that we wouldn't really only focus on women as a diversity or a gender as a diversity. So we look at nearly 7 factors of diversity, right? Because um, it's very important to have the right intersection of gender, of people, of culture. And when we talk about, for us, it is about to accelerate equality for all where everyone feels they belong. So for us, inclusion and diversity go hand in hand, where everyone is equal and everyone belongs. Uh, One of my favorite here is really about, and I think a lot of us don't really talk about faith, but I think a lot of us, and specifically in India, right, we're very, very pure about our faith. Each one of us have our individuality, we have our beliefs. And in our setups, we usually don't feel very comfortable sharing it. In Accenture, I'm very proud to say that when you go to our offices, there are places where people can actually sit in the office and worship during Ramzans. There are places where people have the quiet space to just go and meditate. Because it's not really about which faith you come in from, you belong, right? Disability, again, a very, very personal agenda for me as well. So I have a team in my business which is been created with people with disabilities, people with LGBTQI, and it is an internship, right? So the intent really is that everybody is equal. Everybody needs to have an equal opportunity to learn. I wouldn't drain much on the slide. You guys can kind of read it, but I think where I want to leave you with the focus on is really about, um, we are committed to the wide spectrum of diversity. Each of our policy would reflect that spectrum rather than just focusing on one particular aspect of inclusion and diversity. Uh, and I think a lot of you guys have seen this slide, right? While all of us actually know uh, why gender parity is important, why it is one of those factors that we should be focusing on, but I just want to leave some of the matrices with you, right? And this is not Accenture's data. This is the data available to everyone. But imagine 48.1% of our women population in India. However, only 30% makes it to the workforce, which means 18% of the women are not even at the workforce level. And then when you really compare it to how many of them are in senior leadership, it's only about 12%. And this group, and I think kudos to the teams which are coming in together, the companies which are coming in together and committed to do this. But as of today, we sit with about 12%. And in all likelihood, and if again, like I said, this is the data available, 22% of the women are less likely to reach manager positions than their male peers. So what's holding us back? It is really a lot of companies, like I said, have come forward, but have we done enough as the group? Have we done enough as teams? I think there's still an opportunity to go there. And that is where Accenture is really committed to build a 50-50 by 2025. We are committed to build a gender balanced workplace. There are two big graphs in here, but I just want you to kind of look at the first graph, which reflects on 16x growth in women headcount over 15 years for us. In FY05, we were sitting at about 26%. And today we are above 40%. And when I say above 40%, it is on the base of 200,000 employees, right? So think about while we've had an exponential growth in our headcount, on that 10x growth, we've actually had 16x growth women in there. The other important factor that we've been working very, very closely with is the growth in women leader. We had given ourselves target of 25%, and we've been looking at how do we enable that growth to happen? How do we focus on that while there is women growth that we're focusing on, women leaders that we want to develop, it is still on merit, right? We do not want our male colleagues to feel that we've been biased. So it is really about how do you build the system? How do you really build a policy wherein from a 3,000 people in 2003 to a 200,000 people in 2020, you still have women who are growing. You still have parity which is being felt. How do we ensure that 50-50, 2025, we're able to drive that? And when I say 50-50, what I meant is the gender diverse group at 2025. I think there are awards a lot of us have received, and hugely proud of the awards we've received. I wouldn't drain that. I'll kind of spend some time on our programs, and I think I was sharing with you all fair bit of activities that we run for our employees, very similar to a lot of companies that have come in on this journey. But I think one of the big that I want to reflect on is the first one on the left-hand side, which is the business scorecard and governance. And I've been a master black belt in my life, right? So I truly believe what gets measured gets improved. What you look at as numbers, you focus on building that forward. And we look at our scorecard very, very thoroughly. It is a top down. So our CEO of the BPO, our country head, everybody looks at this metric on how is the hiring mix going? How is the retention going? What is the attrition gap? So if I've had 5 men left, do I have 4 women leaving or do I have 7 women leaving? And if there are 7 women, why they're leaving? And it is at a chairman level to a business entry, to a HR, to a team leader. So when I do my business review, I look at what is the diversity percentage that I have got? What is the attrition percentages that I have got? Is there any gap in gender attrition? How am I doing on hiring? How am I doing on promotion? Is there a particular women whom we need to focus on? So numbers drive behaviors. And I think at Accenture, we're very, very passionate about driving scorecards and the governance to drive numbers. The other important program that we run is what we call as proactive rig fencing. And one part is data. How do you leverage that data to drive the insight? How do you think about where is there's a potential risk of a person leaving? How do I think about retaining an individual? How do I look at that some individual has reached to a stagnant position? What do I need to do differently for them to get a leap forward in their career? And a lot of this is not only at a leader's level, at a manager's level, at a team leader level, and it runs from Julie Sweet, who's our CEO, to Manish Sharma, who's the BPO CEO, then to Arundhati, then to like every level of the teams that you will go to, you will find these practices being applied. And I think parental leave policy, very, very similar, but I think we are now looking at everybody, including not just maternity, adoption, surrogacy, everybody is being equal. Returning mothers program, again, I think very, very powerful for us, right? It is available for not only the new mothers, they might have had the motherhood, but then when they're coming back, there is this whole bit about, am I doing the right thing, right? Am I looking at the right thing for my child? Am I focusing on my career? So it's not really about bringing them back to work. It's about bringing their whole self back to work. And at Accenture, 96% of our women are returning after maternity leave. And that's the testament of how great our programs have been. And it's not really about just coaching. we do provide them with the flexing working, refresh of the skills, cross training, and I think a lot of the effort which goes in making them in a way confident again. I think, on the right hand side, what you see, most organizations will be doing it, and I'm not going to drain the slide on it, but I think one last bit that I want to pick up on this particular slide is Vahini. And Vahini is nothing but, it is a program that we've created for our women employees, right? A lot of the companies actually provide pickups and drops, and after 7 p.m. will be a home pickup, home drop, etc. However, for us, we've been kind of thinking about how do we provide a step forward from that safety? How do we really think about people being comfortable about everything around them, right? So we've created this app as what we call Vahini app, where there is always a live chat available. There is a job search option available for women. There are options around where do I have the closest childcare, right? Where do I have the networking options available for women? Where can I find the right exercise that I go to do? So there are so many things which are available in that app for the women, where they actually connect with each other and help each other. The other bit, which is about Vahini Safety Council, it's nothing but, you have the women safety officers, right? So when you reach home through the app, you're going to tell them that you've reached home. So again, we've got many programs going. The most important factor when I did the engagement survey for my teams, and which kind of holds about 5,000 odd people in Chennai, and it's a very, while it's a intelligent city, it is very, very conservative. Parents are very uncomfortable about girls being out in the night. And when I was doing the family connects, when I was doing the survey, the one confident thing which came out is we feel our girls are safe. Your app where they have to tell you that they have reached home is great, because then they are safe, we know they are safe. So I think it's not really about working through with your employees, but it's also about the fact that how do you keep their families engaged in the safety and security of their wards. So, I mean, again, and I think Accenture has been one of those companies which have been in the news, been receiving a lot of kudos for the work that we've done in this area. And I'll leave some of these for you guys to read. I kind of shared about the fact it's a core value for us, right? IND, or inclusion and diversity for Accenture, is one of the things that we live by, we believe in, we truly engage at each section. And for us, inclusion literally starts with I, right? Not only for the word, but for who we are as a company, for who we are as Accenture.